In a country where watching Netflix can get you 15 years in prison, a young woman risked everything for a freedom we take for. Granted the freedom to choose what she watches, Sona was a promising table. Tennis champion in Pyongyang, raised with every privilege the regime could offer. But when she discovered South Korean dramas on a hidden USB drive, she saw something that changed her life forever. People living as humans, not as tools of the state. Today, she's been free in South Korea for 5 years. And she's here to tell you why an entire generation is choosing self over system. If these stories matter to you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us bring these untold stories to light. Together, we can be a voice for those who cannot speak. I was born in Pyongyang's Chunggu district. My father was a party official. My mother, a teacher. People called us well off even by Pyongyang standards. When rations ran late for others, our table always had rice. On holidays, we ate meat. At 7, I was selected for the sports group. Table tennis. It started as fun, but my coach saw something. This girl has potential, she said. That's how I got into the Mangyongdae Children's Palace table tennis team. In Pyongyang, attending the Children's Palace meant something. Only the most talented kids from across the country made it in. I trained 6 hours a day. After school, I'd rush to the palace and practice until 9 at night. Become the reserve force of the revolution. Bring glory to the general. I recited the slogans painted on the training hall walls. I believed I was special, that someday I'd compete internationally and make the republic proud. That was my dream. That was why I enjoyed these privileges in Pyongyang. Through middle school, the system worked for me. While kids in other provinces couldn't attend school because they were starving, I trained on special state rations. Table tennis players got meat once a month. We even had milk. Our people eat rice and meat soup, wear silk, and live in tile-roofed houses. We memorized Chairman Kim Il-sung's words. Not even all Pyongyang residents lived that way, but I believed it. Or maybe I just wanted to. Spring 2015, I was a freshman in high school. After training one day, I came home and heard something strange from my mother's room. Music. Not North Korean music, something I'd never heard before. I peeked through the door. Mother had a small USB stick plugged into the TV. On screen, people wore incredibly bright clothes. The woman had earrings and necklaces. The man wore a suit and drove a big car. Mom, what's that? She jumped and shut off the TV. Sona, this is a secret. You can never tell anyone. Understand? I found out months later it was a South Korean drama. Mother had been watching secretly while I was at training. But that day I came home early. Sayona, you have to trust me. It was just curiosity. I won't watch again. But I couldn't understand. Why would my mother watch something the regime banned? A party official's wife. A model teacher. That's what made it so strange. After that, Pyongyang's streets looked different. Or maybe my eyes had changed. In 2016, the 109 surveillance group intensified inspections. They handled anti-socialist crackdowns, stopping people on the street to check phones, raiding homes for USB drives and SD cards. One Saturday afternoon, I was walking down Gwangbok Street. With my friend Mision. Suddenly, 109 agents appeared. Comrades, just a moment. A male agent, maybe 20, stopped us. Phone inspection. Hand them over. Misiam pulled out her phone with trembling hands. The agent took it and started scrolling through her messages. You wrote Appa? Who'd you send this to? Masian's face went white. My actual brother. Your brother? What's his name? Kim Seong-cheol. The agent looked suspicious. In North Korea, the word Appa is dangerous. It's from South Korean dramas. We normally say Hyungnim. A girl saying Appa, that's evidence of Southern cultural contamination. We'll need to verify he's really your brother. Give me his number. My Sion had to call him right there. Fortunately, he really was her brother. They let her go. But she told me later she had nightmares every night for a month. They checked my phone too. Nothing suspicious, thank God. But after that day, I censored every word before I texted. Is this word okay? Does this sound like Southern slang? A country where you couldn't even speak freely. That's where we lived. Fall 2017, everything changed. An emergency assembly at school. All students gathered in the courtyard. The teachers' faces were grim. Something was wrong. The principal took the stage. Comrades, today you will witness the fate of traitors who accepted reactionary ideology. The screen lit up. A courtroom in Pyongyang. In the defendant's seats sat 2 girls about my age and a young man, maybe 20. The prosecutor stood and read the charges loudly. The defendants watched a total of 27 South Korean dramas from 2016 to 2017, including My Love from the Star, descendants of the Sun and Guardian, the lonely and great God, and distributed them to others. One of the girls on screen was crying, handcuffs on her wrists. I, I didn't want to watch, but my friends kept insisting. I watched one out of curiosity. I never thought. The judge's gavel came down. Defendant Choi Seon-hui, 5 years. Defendant Park Young-mi, 7 years. Defendant Kim Cheol-soo, aggravated distribution, 15 years. We stood in the courtyard. Nobody breathed. 5 years, 7 years, 15 years for watching dramas. Their youth stolen in an instant. That evening, I asked my mother, "Mom, that drama you watched, do you still have it?" Mother shook her head without speaking. She'd burned it, I thought. But had she? Later, I found out she hadn't burned the USB. She'd hidden it deeper in a false bottom behind the wardrobe. Why? I'll tell you that in Chapter 6. After that public trial, we had reject reactionary culture. Education sessions almost every month. One video they showed us was especially shocking. The screen showed what looked like a labor camp. People in gray prison uniforms walking in lines. Some looked my age. The narration began. This is the fate of youth, contaminated by the rotten bourgeois culture of South Korean puppets. These are traitors who betrayed the party and the leader, who fell for imperialist ideological infiltration. The scene changed to an interview. A boy about 18 wearing handcuffs spoke to the camera. I envied the characters in the dramas. Dating freely, doing what they loved, eating what they wanted. I envied that. But it was imperialist poison. I betrayed my country. His voice shook, like he was reading a script. His eyes were empty. His face drained of color. My friend Soo Jin, sitting next to me, whispered, "Seon, aren't you scared?" I was scared. But I also felt something else. I envied the characters in the dramas. Forced words, probably. But wasn't there truth in them? Dating freely, doing what you love, eating what you want. Is that really bad? Why is that imperialist poison? After the session, we had to write pledges. I will never watch South Korean dramas. If I discover anyone watching them, I will report immediately. My hand shook, but I signed. Not signing would make them suspicious. But that night, the handcuffed boy's face kept circling through my mind. 3 months later, I ended up watching a Korean drama. It happened like this. My table tennis friend Hee Jin suddenly quit school. Quit table tennis. Rumors said she was leaving Pyongyang. The last time I saw Hee Jin, she pressed something into my hand. "Seona, watch this. Just once. We should at least know why we live like this. What the other world is like. Shouldn't we?" A small SD card. At home, I debated for hours. Watch it or not. If I watched, my life could end. But if I didn't, I'd wonder forever. 2 in the morning, when my parents were asleep, I inserted the SD card into my small MP4 player. Earphones in, hiding under my blanket. The drama was called Guardian, the Lonely and Great God. From the first scene, I was stunned. Seoul on screen was so bright. Even at night, the streets glowed. People walked smiling. In cafes, young people talked freely. The female lead spoke her mind without hesitation. Scenes unimaginable in North Korea. The female lead said to the male lead, "I want to live the way I want, not a life someone else decided for me." Hearing that line, tears rolled down my face. I want to live the way I want. Say that in North Korea you become a reactionary. We're supposed to live the way the party decides, the way the leader wants. But they were different in the drama. They married who they loved, studied what they wanted, ate what they craved, went where they pleased. Sure, they had worries and pain, but at least they chose their own lives. That's what a human life looks like, I thought. From the next day on, I devoured dramas. 2-3 hours every night, rubbing my tired eyes. My Love from the Star, Descendants of the Sun, Crash Landing on You. The more I watched, the more I realized how strange my world was. Why can't we watch what we want? Why are even our thoughts censored? Why must we live so differently just because of where we were born? Mother knew too. That's why she couldn't throw away the USB. One night she found me watching. I expected punishment, but she just sat beside me. Siana, Mom watched it too. What you're watching? From Mrs. Sir. You did? Yes, so Mom knows. How pitifully we live. That night, Mother and I had our first real conversation. About the regime, about North Korea, about our future. And we decided to defect. March 2019, our family left Pyongyang. Using Father's business trip, we reached the Chinese border and crossed the Tumen River through a broker. The process was harder than words can describe. But today's story isn't about that escape. It's about why I left. I've been in South Korea 5 years now. The biggest surprise, Korean dramas here are just ordinary. What we risked our lives to watch in North Korea, anyone here watches freely. You can call someone Appa on the street. Nobody arrests you. Last year at a Defector youth meeting, I met others my age. Almost all of us decided to defect after watching Korean dramas. Minsu, 23, told me. I watched Itaewon Class. The protagonist fights an unjust corporate chairman. Unimaginable in North Korea. Defy the powerful, you just die. But in South Korea, even the weak can fight. I envy that so much. Jihai, 21, said. I watched romance dramas and it shocked me. Women confessing first. Rejecting guys they don't like. Dating who they want. That kind of freedom seemed impossible. In North Korea, even marriage needs party approval. Our generation grew up under Kim Jong-un. He was promoted as a young leader, but what did he actually do? Executions. He executed his uncle-in-law Jang Song-taek, assassinated his half-brother Kim Jong-nam, publicly executed officials. To show us this is what happens to traitors. A country that demands loyalty through fear. I didn't want to give my heart to that country. Neither did my friends. Korean dramas weren't just entertainment for us. They were proof that another world existed. A world where people lived like humans. Where freedom existed. Where you could choose. Now I understand why North Korean authorities ban dramas so strictly. Dramas are dangerous to the regime because people start thinking, why must I live like this? Why can't I choose? Why don't I have freedom? Those questions pile up, and eventually you cross the Tumen River, like I did. The Kim Jong-un regime threatens the world with nuclear weapons, but what they really fear most is a single USB drive, a single SD card. Those small things change how people think. I still watch dramas sometimes, now openly on a big screen, eating popcorn. And I think, I'm free now. I'm living a real human life. And I think about my friends still in North Korea. The ones still secretly watching dramas under their blankets. Someday they'll have freedom too. Because our generation already knows that another world exists, that there's a place where you can live like a human, and that we have that right too. Right before leaving Pyongyang, I met my old friend Sujin. We sat by the Taedong River in a quiet spot. Sujin seemed to sense I was leaving soon. Suddenly she said, Seona, can I be honest? I don't want to be loyal to Marshal Kim Jong-un. I don't want to sacrifice my youth for the country. I just want to be happy. I was shocked. Sujin was a youth league secretary. High loyalty, recognized by the party as a model youth. I couldn't believe those words came from her mouth. Sujin, you can't say things like that. I know. But Seona, almost everyone our age thinks this way. We pretend loyalty on the outside, but inside, nobody believes it. Not the party, not the leader, not socialism. Sujin was right. In North Korea, they call our generation the Jangmadang generation, marketplace generation. We were born during the arduous march of the 1990s when state rations stopped. The state never fed us. We grew up on money our parents earned selling in the markets. So we think differently. The great leader feeds us. We hear the propaganda but don't believe it. Because it was actually mom selling in the market who fed us. Sacrifice for the country. The education doesn't touch our hearts. The country never did anything for us, so why should we sacrifice? My friend Cheol-soo said, 10 years of military service feels like robbery. The best decade of my life, given to the state. What do I get for those 10 years? Malnutrition, beatings, and unemployment when I'm discharged. He was right. North Korean men serve from 17 to 27, the most important decade of life. Spent in the military. Discharged at 27, youth already gone. Same for women. My senior had to go teach at a coal town school after college graduation party assignment. A Pyongyang girl spending 10 years in a Hamgyong province mountain village. I want to live in Pyongyang. I want to teach at a good school. Why can't I decide my own dreams? She cried as she spoke. Sacrifice the individual for the collective. Our generation doesn't accept that anymore. Around 2018, something strange started happening in Pyongyang. Young people began dating without party permission. In North Korea, dating symbolizes individualism. The party's position: youth should focus on completing revolutionary tasks, not decadent romance. But our generation was different. We watched dramas, listened to Korean songs via USB, used smuggled Chinese cosmetics. We changed. I want to be loved too. I want to look pretty too. I want to be with someone I like. Along the Taedong River, couples secretly dating multiplied. Holding hands, linking arms. Unimaginable 10 years earlier. The party cracked down violations of socialist lifestyle, but couldn't stop it. There were too many of us. The Youth League held emergency lectures. Comrades, individualism is capitalist poison. We must arm ourselves with collectivist spirit. But after the lecture, youth exchanged phone numbers. Hey, did you watch that drama? I'll lend you the USB. The gap between propaganda and reality kept growing. I asked Defector youth I met in South Korea, what did you want to do most in North Korea? Minji, 25, answered, I just wanted to wear what I wanted. Jeans, short skirts. But in North Korea, they regulate that too. Measuring skirt lengths, inspecting hairstyles. It's my body, why can't I control it? Seong Hun, 28, said, I wanted to do what I loved. I love music, but in North Korea, you can only perform party-approved music. Songs praising Kim Il-sung, songs praising Kim Jong-il. I was sick of it. I wanted to make the music I wanted to make. Hey Jin, 21, said with tears, I just wanted to be happy. To wake up thinking, what should I do for fun today? Not, how do I avoid surveillance today? Just live normally, freely, happily. Me over the collective. My life over the country. Happiness over loyalty. That's our generation's honest feeling. North Korean authorities know about this change, so they crack down harder, punish more. But the water's already leaking. Korean dramas keep coming in. Chinese phones keep getting smuggled. Young people keep dreaming of the outside world. When I was in Pyongyang, a youth league instructor said, today's youth have lost their spirit. They've become selfish, only caring about themselves. My friend whispered back, selfish? Is wanting to live like a human being selfish? Right. We're not selfish. We just wanted to be normal youth. Loving, dreaming, laughing, crying, choosing our own lives. That kind of normal youth. Right now, somewhere in North Korea, kids my age are watching dramas under their blankets. Watching free people on screen, dreaming, can I ever live like that? I know now, that dream can come true. Because our generation has already changed. Nobody truly shouts, we'll live for the leader anymore. Nobody deeply believes the pledge, we'll sacrifice for the country anymore. We've figured it out. That happiness comes from individuals, not collectives. That my life belongs to me, not the country. And that's not wrong. The Kim Jong-un regime has nuclear weapons, but their real enemy is inside our generation's hearts. The yearning for freedom, the right to pursue happiness, the wish to live as ourselves. When those feelings gather and grow, someday North Korea will change. Our generation will create that change, choosing self over collective, happiness over loyalty, people over system, that kind of new era.